Okay, what we're going to do in today's video is take two US pennies and a piece of copper Romex, and we're going to turn it into this cool little teapot, penny teapot. Okay, what we got to do is dome both of these pennies. One will dome face out, the other one will do tails out. We'll do the first one heads out. We put it in the press, and I just used the number 17 doming die and the closest matching hole on this doming block. And we center that up. Press it down. This should be a nice. Go slow with this. That one's done. And it'll look like that. Nice dome to it. And the second penny, you want to have the tails down so the dome is inside out this time. And the same thing. Center it up. Make sure that's straight in there. Straight and centered. And then you'll have the penny like that. Okay, the next step, we're gonna go diagonally to the next smallest part of the block. And I put that in there nice and centered. It should fit just like that. And then, now we take a number 13 die. And we want to make sure this is nice and centered. And get that in there nice. And we'll make sure this stays pretty centered. Or else it'll mess it all up. There we go. That's it for that one. Pull that out. And you have a nice half a moon there. And this is the next one. Like I said, you want to make sure these are in here nice and straight, or they'll come out crooked. Sometimes you have to readjust them a little bit with each little pump, but go slow and you won't have any problems. Patience is your best friend here. Sometimes you have to readjust this a couple of times just so you get it perfect. And there we go. Two perfect half moons. Okay, and then the next step is to go one over to the left to the next smallest size. And you can still use the number 13 on this one. This just makes the the half round a little bit. Gives it a little more dome. Is that one? I'm gonna do this one next. Still using the number 13. And you'll see it just slips in. Just like that. And that's perfect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this little flat spot on the bottom part, the bottom penny for the teapot. And that one won't be the one with the memorial on it. We get the flattest possible surface on our doming block, and both of our cheaters here for the press. And we're just going to lower the press down just enough to give it a little flat spot, so it could sit nice on the table. And that'll be perfect. Can you see the little flat spot? Perfect. This next step, we're going to put the holes for the spout and the handle in the top penny. What I like to do, I like to put it Lincoln facing up, we right there in the middle, and I just put this on there and just lower the press down just so it holds it nice and taut. It doesn't crush it, it just holds it like a vise. Now, using my automatic center punch, or you can use a regular center punch, I like to go right between where it says "we" on the coin. And right where Lincoln's curls are in his hair. So you can see those two holes. That one's for the spout, and that one's for the front part of the handle. Now I'll take a 1/16 drill bit, and I will go in for the spout. You want to go in nice and straight. Make sure you open that hole up nice. The next hole, you want to go in the way it curves. And then once it goes through, you want to stand, while the drill bit's going, you want to stand it up. This way here, when you put the wire in, it's straight up like that. Now what I'll do is I'll turn this around. Get it clamped in the press, just enough pressure on there so the coin doesn't move. And we'll center punch another hole. And I like to do it right where his armpit is. And the same thing. You drill the hole in at the same angle as the coin is. with the drill running, you want to sand it straight up like that. Perfect. Okay, now that we have these holes, now you can see that, how those look. We'll knock all these burrs off. And what we got to do is sand these two surfaces here. It's the two flat surfaces around there, and I'll come back when those are sanded. Okay, now that we have our two surfaces sanded nice and clean like that, what I'm going to do, let's show you that one too. We'll put these two aside, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the handle for the pot, this part of the handle. So about 1.5 inches up on the Romex wire, I'm going to go in, make an L bend. Now I'm going to come over about 1/2 inch this way, make the next L. So we have a piece like that, pretty much U-shaped, or almost like a big staple. And we're going to cut that off. We'll put that aside. And then we'll cut off a piece that's about maybe 1.25 inches. We'll put those aside. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to take our handle. We're going to get some flux. We'll dip the two ends in the flux like that. I'm going to take the top of the teapot. I'm going to get one pot started in. It'll go in nice like that. And we get the second pot started in. Sometimes you gotta tap this home. Tap it a little bit. To get it to go in. Okay, let me fuss with that a little bit, and I'll come back when it's in. Okay, now that I got it in pretty much where I want it. These don't have to be perfect. They all look a little different when they're once they're put in there. What I'll do is I'll take my nippers and I'll nip these off flush right here. Like that. And then what I'll do is I'll put in the spout. I'll put a little flux. Put a little flux on the spout. And we'll feed that in to that front hole between where it says "we." Now you can see how those are all in there like that. Can you see? Can you see that? With the dropsies. Those are all in there through there like that. Perfect. Okay, what's next is I made up all these little, these are all solder. And we're going to put those around each one of the wires. I get one on there, and I'll come back when I have them all on there. Okay, now you'll end up with something that looks a little like that. All the little rings around, rings of solder around the wire. Just like that. What we're going to do next is take some flux and we're going to put it around the surface here. Then we're going to put this in between this little thing here. And we'll take the bottom and we'll put some flux on the surface there. And to get this perfectly centered, we put this little ring of solder on that part, and then we put our other part here. We get those all lined up. And we want to make sure the solder goes on the surfaces here, like that. Make sure that's flat, like that. Okay, we'll come back when this is perfect. Okay, now we've got that right. I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you're using copper pennies for this, because the newer zinc with the copper coating will just melt at this next process. So you make sure you use 81 and older pennies for this. You hook these up. And you'll see that it folds down like that. And all the copper, all the solder pulls into the joints. And there we go. We have just a couple more steps now. And I'll come back when that's cool. Okay. Now that it's cool, you'll have something that looks like that. It's not very pretty, but it's the starting. So what I like to do, I start out with the spout, and I like to give it a little bit of an S shape. And you can make this as big or as small as you want it. Just get that little shape there so it looks like a teapot spout. And I'm going to try to cut this off at a little angle so it looks like a true spout. And you have that little spout look. And that gives a little more tweak. And there you go. Then you just straighten out the handle a little bit. Make it straight where you want it. Perfect. And there you go. There's your little teapot. Any teapot. And like I said in my last video, as long as you're careful with that press, you won't press the images out of the coin. You just want to go until it bends where you want it. A little bit of steel wool, that thing will buff up. My next video will be the teacup and saucer. Here you can make up little sets for this.